anybody has any comments right there?
Yes, I have one, Mr. Chairman. And just clarification for Stephanie, as an additional, as it pertains to the consequences of the homestead exemption, is it not true that if you've been in your home 10 years, say 15 years, and you reap that benefit, however, you need some work done in your house and have to pull a permit, it resets the value as well, or initiate a process that actually causes that value to be reassessed. Is that true?
There's a threshold for new construction related to that dwelling. It's not just simply if you pull a permit, that might not trigger that revow, but there is a threshold there. If you were to do an addition on your property or change your home, I don't think an AC unit would reset it, but I think you would be looking more if you added new construction onto that home. So if you wanted to add a swimming pool or an large accessory structure related to that, or add on a bedroom or expand your family room or something like that, build a porch, significant construction to that dwelling is what would provide that.
Mr. Chairman, if I can clarify, a substantial addition does not trigger a reset of our value like a sale does. The addition is captured at its full value. The cap remains applicable to the underlying value of the existing.
Any other questions? All right, we'll move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment? Would please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Mary
Ma'am, come to the podium, please. Oh. We're going to make a star out of it. Come on.
I'm Mary Ellen Noriega. I live at 4017 Gray Oak Drive, Mount Austin, 31605. My question is based on the current conversation of improvements. If I were to install, say, for example, of clarity in my mind, my pool cost me $40,000. Are you putting a cap on what you reevaluate my homestead exemption is? Is that what you're saying?
My understanding is...
Are you putting a dollar value to that? If I have to draw
There's a lot that's got to be shook out of this, really, to be honest with you. But my understanding is that the value of your the home itself will be capped. Any addition that you may do would be at that value, and that would be an additional assessment based on that value.
So the property gets revalued at that time? Say I put in a pool because I am a senior, I'm 65 now. So I know I have my homestead since we bought the property. But what I'm hearing you say is you're going to raise my safety net, if you will, if I go in and put in therapy pool, right?
So it wouldn't impact the value at the capped value of your home. It's just that the pool or whatever you add would be valued at today's value. It wouldn't go back and fall under the same value consideration that your home may have been capped at years in the past.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
I hope this is not going to do me any good because I was at one last year and y'all raised property taxes anyway. But what good does it do us to vote for something if they're going to give y'all the option to just do away with it? I mean, we voted to opt out of this and it passed. And then we get thrown this curve where y'all get to opt out. So everything we voted for is not worth anything. I mean, what's up with that? Let me read this letter. This is from Colton Moore, state senator in Trenton, Georgia. To prevent any unjust property tax increases on the citizens of Northwest Georgia, I respectfully request that tax authorities do not opt out of legislation HB 581. Citizens of Northwest Georgia voted in great numbers to have their homestead appraised tax values not to increase more than the rate of inflation. Tax boards such as county commissions and school boards commonly use this tactic to raise revenues without increasing the millage rate, otherwise known as a linear tax increase. I am strongly opposed to all tax increases, including linear tax increases. directly undermining the will of the people. We are open to appropriate discourse, but I will not entertain any unjust local tax increases or false rhetoric that opting out gives counties more local control. The rest of HB 581 legislation stands, regardless of whether a homestead exemption opt-out exists. Any opting out or other unreasonable local taxes leave me with no option but to bring forward local legislation for a total assessment freeze of funds, along with any other administrative means to prevent unjust tax increases onto our citizens. This allows citizens once again to showcase their will of limited taxes in Northwest Georgia. This man knows what he's doing. Y'all tell me what our government of Georgia is doing with all the money they're making. Why are they not helping the schools and all that? Last year, you know what they bring in a month? $3 billion. Where's it going? How much does the county, how much does Lowndes County bring in a month?
They have a surplus.
Do y'all know? Does anybody know what Lowndes County actually
We know,
brings
but
in?
we're not gonna comment on that. We're here to hear from you.
No, you're not
We're
going
here
to
from you.
comment on that. I'm through.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Diana Deely, 201 West Gordon Street, Valdosta, 31601. This is actually a question. Is it to the I'm having trouble formulating this because I'm trying to make it logical. But is it to the benefit of the county and the community for people to hold their property for very long periods of time? Or is it more to our benefit if people are selling and buying new properties? That's, before we start, the homeowner's exemption is a great thing. Every homestead exemption is a great thing. Everybody loves it. But that is my question. Is it to the benefit of the county, of the city, of the state, of the community that we hold property for 20, 30 years or what? Or is it better if we sell it more often? That's a question I'd like to see addressed. Thank you.
Anyone else, please? Come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Edward Chase West. I live at 4712 Raiderside Road, Valdosta, Georgia. I am for the homestead 581. Let's see. It's my understanding that if we went in for the exemption, we could have a 1% tax over everything, and that if we did that, we wouldn't be targeting homeowners. That everybody could be, participating for these funds, and if we did that, then let's see, the sales tax would be more proportional share, the burden for schools, police, fire departments, et cetera, to everybody in the community, including those who are on welfare, tourists, people who are renting, illegal immigrants, et cetera, and not just the homeowners or and landowners. And like she said, I was under the impression that 60% of the voters voted for this bill, and I do understand that you can opt out of this, but I do feel like if we are all participating for the 1%, then not just the homeowners will be taking on the burden for this. So can you speak to that? Why the homeowners should just be taking on the burden and the renter shouldn't be?
No comment right now.
Of course, okay. Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
William Marshall Jr., 5360 Gulf Drive, Lake Park, Georgia. My comment on this is, why are we looking at opting out of House Bill 581 instead of looking at ways to cut our budget, maybe refinance things? Maybe we can save money and not have to opt out of that. We just have too much money that gets wasted. We need government efficiency for our county and our school boards. What do we get from our school boards, our kids? What are they learning? They learn how to use a cell phone. That's what they do. Okay? I go get change. I can do the math on change at the store, and they can't. They got to pull their phone out. Okay? We want to get something for our money. We don't mind investing in the kids, but we want to get something for our money, and I don't see where we're getting it. They can't spell without spell check. They have to use a phone for everything. Okay? And they can't read the Declaration of Independence because it's written in cursive. That's my comment. Let's cut some of the expenses. Let's cut some of the waste. I mean, our football players, they have helmets with glittery lights. I don't know whether I'm going to a musical dance or a football game. That's it. That's my comment.
Thank you. Anyone else like to make a comment? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Morning, y'all.
Morning.
So I really thought this would be kind of a question.
Name and
Sorry,
address.
it's Brooks Garrett, 4562 Meeting Circle, Georgia, 31632. Thought this would be more of a question and answer, but I think we're going to get no comments. So I'll just lead off. There's a lot of talk today about we're not electing these officials, at the state level. They're not elected to make these rules. Well, we voted for a law, and it seems like our elected officials are overruling our vote. And then I really have a question too. This whole idea about 581 is to limit property tax increases over time. The whole idea is to cap how much we see our property values go up, thereby limiting our taxes. You say that doesn't provide local control. You control the millage rate. You can adjust that rate whenever you want. What this does is it takes away the surprise that we've seen over the past few years, property values spiking. So I would love to ask you guys, if you would comment, what local control do you lose if you still control the millage rate? Is there a comment? No comment. So then, who elected the appraisers these past few years that have increased our property values?
The appraisers are off the rail.
They're one. So nobody elected them. And actually, I believe they were outside consultants, were they not? For the business commercial, there was not outside consultants used to appraise all
Yes,
of that.
sometimes they use outside consultants.
So here we have a law that puts, it feels like, a cap on unelected people raising property values up there. Then we talk about buying and selling. I think as Lowndes County as a community, we should want people to move here, to stay here, to be stable, to raise their families, to be part of the community long term. And it feels like that we're opting out of 581 to incentivize opposite behavior. We want people to move in and out of the community. We want them to sell. And I see my time is up. Unfortunately, I had a few more, but
No, he can give you,
I'll
say
see that.
reset the clock.
Let's
Say
have
not
order.
reset the
okay.
clock.
So yeah, so I would love to see people to be stable. I feel like opting out, we're not doing that. We're incentivizing people to come and go, to leave the community. That's not what we want in Lowndes County. We want people to be here and be part of our community. And lastly, we talk about property values when you make an adjustment on your property, a sudden increase, a surprise. That's what we want to eliminate. That's why I think everybody got angry. Past few years, huge inflation. You guys don't control inflation. You don't control what happened with COVID. But it happened. Property values skyrocketed. People got angry because their tax bills went up significantly. I do appreciate rolling back the millage rate, and I also think a lot of people need to take note. If you look at that property tax bill, down at the bottom, the county government is actually a small portion compared to the school. And I think we all need to do the same thing and go to the school board and ask them these same questions. So I do recognize that as well. But everybody's angry because of these surprises. We talk about the surprise of, oh, I make an adjustment on my house, my property value goes up. Well, I got a huge benefit over years of stable taxation before I make that adjustment to my home and before my value goes up. Right? Shouldn't that be something we want? We want that benefit. And if we talk about surprises, what stops 2026 from being 2020? And our property values going up 40% again. What limit is there on property values going up without 581? And if we opt out now, when are we going to opt in? Because I personally don't see a government that rolls taxes back and decreases taxes. If we opt out, I have a feeling we're going to be staying opt out. So that's my questions to you guys, but we'll see what happens next. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll take one more. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? All right, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting. Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you for any comments or questions that you may have. I want to, if I can, take a few minutes and try to clarify some things for you folks. At this point right now, the commission has not made a decision to either opt in or to opt out. The process with the timeline required for us to have enough time to really study this issue and get it right for you as the citizens. It required us to put the timeline in place, and then as we go through these public hearings, At the end of this, that's when we will make a decision to opt out or opt in. The commission's desire is we want to look at what is the very best thing for the citizens of Lowndes County. Now, those might be to opt in and just cap homesteads. That could be one. But the other options that we also want to look at is to see how we can do more enhance the current homestead exemption that is available. If we can increase that, if we can even, do more than what, there's some scenarios that we might even be able to do a 100% exemption. Don't think we're gonna get there, but those are all of the things that we're looking for to see what we can accomplish. You elect us locally to make these local decisions for you. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're all property owners. Everyone here, I think, has homestead exemption. So we're just as concerned about it as you are. So again, we're not telling you now that we're opting out or that we're opting in. We're just having to go through a process that is required to meet that March 1st deadline. The legislators themselves in Atlanta have recognized that there are some concerns with 581, and they've already dropped several bills that's going to tweak 581. And that's typical of what we find out. So this is yet to be determined what we're actually going to do. We're going through these processes. We want to hear from you. We've heard a lot. We will continue to hear more. We've got 2 more of these hearings to go through. But again, this commission is wanting to try to find the very best scenario for the property owners in Lowndes County, because we are all in this thing together. And that's what we try to do. You can look at our millage history to see that we've been very, very conservative. We've continued to drop the millage and roll it back as much as we can. The issue with the 1% sales tax, that's an anybody guess. Are the citizens here ready for another 1-cent sales tax? I don't know. And that's part of, again, what we've got to gauge is that would you as the citizens be willing to vote in another 1-cent sales tax, taking it to 9 cents? I agree with the gentleman that spoke about it. I'm a sales tax person. That's the fairest way to get any kind of revenue. Everybody pays for it. The burden is not put on the property owners here in Lowndes County. So again, those are the sort of things and the challenges that we have, trying to get you, as you want to say, the very best deal that we can get for the property owners in Lowndes County. So I hope you understand that, and I hope as we go through this process, you'll understand that ultimately that's what our goal is.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say that, one of my concerns, from the giddy up is just the so-called reset, because it's my understanding that everything will be brought up to 2024. And at the end of the day, our community recently experienced a hurricane. A lot of people still trying to bounce back from that, even Idalia. And just looking at the numbers to come up to where we need to be, from what I'm hearing, we possibly might have to increase property taxes this June if we opt in. And so I think, it's possibly best to opt out versus to actually opt in and possibly have to raise our property taxes just to come up to where the state will want us to be at this June. And that's just because other communities haven't experienced the hurricanes and all that stuff we have either anyway. Every community is different. And I just want to put that, that's my concern. Is that if we opt in, we got to increase property taxes this June, and I don't think people are talking about that and have acknowledged that.
Yeah, I'll also add that as has been pointed out, as we all know, the school board taxes are the largest part of the taxes that we all have to pay. As Ms. Dix mentioned, we're going to be having conversations, probably for the first time that I'm aware of, to address these type of situations for you as the citizens with the school boards to try to see if we can come together that will reduce their tax as well as the county portion of the tax. Again, at the end of the day, the whole purpose is what we're trying to accomplish is to get very best savings that we can for you folks. Because again, we're very conservative. Now, I can't speak for future commissions. I can speak for this group of individuals. They're very conservative from the standpoint of how we spend your money. So as you can see reflectively. So bottom line is we're just as conscious conscientious about your expenses as a lot of you are. So again, that's our ultimate goal, is to be able to give you the best opportunity to get the savings on the taxes that we have to pay. So hopefully that's what we'll be able to accomplish. Commissioners, any other comments?
We're in, our only option is to opt out, correct?
If you do nothing, you're in.
You're in.
You either have to opt
County
out or
is in
That's correct.
until they.
Now, there's again legislation that they've looked at, so nobody gets confused. There is a possibility, there's some legislation that hasn't been voted on yet that may extend that day to April 1.
The March 1 day.
The March 1 day.
Yes.
Or May 1st. So we're looking at those, I mean, those, again, that's just gives us, may give us more time to really study it, but
So
we
let me
can't
get-
depend on that right
Let
now.
me get that right. Right now, we got till 1 March,
Correct,
and there's legislation to extend that to May.
to May 1st. That's right. However, we have to move through the process as if the date is March 1st, because we have no clue if they will approve that. That's what we're at. All right, any other questions or comments? If there's none, then I'll close the public hearing, and that will, if I can get a motion to adjourn the public hearing, then we'll motion to reconvene for our